you. What are you doing here? It's been a while. Why don't you come a little closer? There we go. Hey, let me get a good look at you. You know, did you get a haircut? No? New glasses, maybe? No, that's not it either. Something is different about you. Really different. It's as though your whole vibe has shifted. As though someone else has crawled inside of your body and is piloting it from the inside. Or like someone who happens to look identical to you has taken over your life for mysterious and nefarious purposes. On an entirely unrelated note, have you ever heard of the Capgras delusion? It's a rare psychiatric condition with a not well understood cause that causes its patients to believe that people close to them have been replaced by identical imposters. It's just one of many stories I have for you about today's topic, so sit back, relax, and try not to let yourself think too hard about what is real and what is in fact a perfectly simulated copy, as we dive together into the world of those mysterious, mystical human copies. Doppelgangers. Maybe we'll even have a visitor. Stay tuned. There's an interesting theory about the Capgras delusion, in that it's actually related, in kind of a mixed-up way, to prosopagnosia, the condition that causes people not to recognize faces. Let me explain. People with prosopagnosia are not able to consciously recognize familiar faces. However, in studies, scientists were able to measure an unconscious response when the patients were showed those same faces. The autonomic response, specifically measured through a galvanic skin response in these patients, showed that some part of their brain did, unbeknownst to them, recognize the faces in some way. They weren't recognizing them knowingly, but their body did produce an automatic emotional reaction. So what if the Capgras delusion was the opposite? In prosopagnosia, the patients could recognize the faces unconsciously, but not consciously. In the Capgras delusion, the theory was that patients could recognize the faces consciously, but not unconsciously. This would produce a feeling of recognizing the face, but feeling strongly that something was off about it. And in studies, you'll never guess what the researchers found. That's right. No galvanic skin response. The patients were recognizing the faces, but the normal subconscious emotional responses were missing. How else could a person react to that, other than believing that the person had been replaced by a doppelganger? Speaking of, I should probably stop for a second and talk about that word, doppelganger. It's German, of course. In English, it's a loan word, spelled exactly the same but without the umlaut over the A. It refers to a supernatural double of a person. It looks, sounds, and acts exactly like them, albeit maybe with something off about them, but they're actually fake, a spiritual replica. Though doppelgangers have appeared in mythology for thousands of years, the term was only recently coined, in 1796 in fact. Before that, English speakers commonly referred to a paranormal double as a fetch. Luckily, they stopped trying to make fetch happen. Back way in the day, though, in one of my favorite CD-ROM game settings, Ancient Egypt, people referred to this type of entity as a ka. Actually, it's a bit more involved than that. Ancient Egyptians believed that there are many parts to the soul, mainly the ka, a person's life force and their spiritual double, the ba, a person's personality, which was represented in the form of a bird, and the ak, essentially an immortal aspect. I'm simplifying, but basically when a person dies, as long as the proper funeral rites and spells were performed, their ka and ba would unite to form an ak, which is sort of like a ghost. Through this practice, funerary personnel could ensure that the person would be properly transferred to the afterlife, and importantly, not die a second time. But in order for the ak to exist, the body must stay preserved, and the ka and ba must be satiated, usually with food offerings. Egyptian mythology is very complex and changes a lot over different eras, but that's a short version. Basically, though, that's why the bodies of the dead needed to be preserved. But I know what you're wondering. How can the ka be both a life force and a doppelganger at the same time? Well, in essence, your ka lives alongside you, invisibly. When When your body is born, so is your ka. Your ka looks exactly like you and shares your personality, but it moves and eats independently of you. When it eats, though, it doesn't consume the physical aspect of the food. Rather, it is a spiritual consumption. Have you ever eaten something that should have been delicious, but it didn't quite hit right? It's probably because your ka ate it first. Whenever you're doing something creative, you're tapping into the energy of your ka, which connects all people to the spirit world. That's another important aspect to doppelgangers. No matter which mythology we're looking at, they always have some kind of spiritual aspect or spiritual connection. For example, in Norse mythology, called vardogers, doppelgangers are spirit creatures who typically employ a sort of reverse deja vu scenario, appearing as spiritual beings identical to a real person, doing something they're going to do in the future, like a prediction or a flash forward. Imagine if you saw a vardoger of your boyfriend proposing to you. It would kind of ruin it, no? Over in ancient Greece, they were a common character in plays. The ancient Greeks really liked plays, if you didn't know. We're not talking about our friend Aristophanes this time. No, it's a different playwright called Euripides. And I understand the urge to yell Euripides nuts. Really, I do, but I hope you'll refrain. In ancient Greek, doppelgangers are called eidolons, and could be of both the living and the dead. In Euripides, don't say it, dramatization of the events regarding the Trojan horse, he references a spirit-like double of Helen of Troy being present. When the real Helen of Troy was not there, the eidolon was referenced by other writers too, including the famous Homer. Her eidolon was the whole reason the war was fought in the first place. No eidolon, no war. There's another aspect to the eidolon, though. Remember how I said they could be of the living or the dead? Essentially, it works like this. When the legend of a person remains alive in people's minds, it can manifest as an eidolon. Kind of like a tulpa, but in this case, as long as someone is remembered, some version of that memory can live on as a spiritual being. Usually, as we've discussed, doppelgangers are malevolent, or at least bad omens. In German folklore, for example, if you see someone's doppelganger, or heaven forbid your own, you should avoid it at all costs. You see, doppelgangers often exhibit dark or negative features, features that the real person hides away. Their fears, their insecurities, the things they're not proud of. And you know something? It reminds me of a certain psychological concept. Let's see what our good friend Carl Jung is up to. No, really. Let's call him.
Hey, CD-ROM, my old friend. How are each of the 3 parts of your soul? Eating well?
Unfortunately, my ka, being tied to my physical body, is, like me, unable to eat.
Ah, it's a shame. Well, I suppose you'll be dying twice then. Remind me not to bother mummifying you later.
I did stipulate in my will that Carl Jung himself has to mummify me. I guess I'll take that out. Anyway, I'm doing a YouTube video right now, and
I was born in 1875, dude. I don't know what that is.
it's like a film set, but in a virtual world? It's like rendered or something. Do you know what ray tracing is?
Like in Cyberpunk 2077?
So you know what that is, but you've never heard of YouTube?
What's YouTube?
Okay, what does ray tracing produce? Really lifelike shadows. Maybe you could tell my friend here a little bit about those.
Certainly. Basically, the shadow is an aspect of the personality that one keeps repressed. You know, the thing that the person has no desire to be. It's symbolic, of course, but in dreams it appears as a person who looks very similar to the dreamer, yet eerily different at the same time. In order to truly self-actualize, one must confront the shadow and integrate it into the self.
Right, I remember reading something about that. It happens through shadow work, meditation, imagination journeys, and dream analysis. But there's another word for confronting the shadow, isn't there?
It's known by many names. The night journey on the sea, the descent into the lower world. I prefer the ancient Greek word nekia.
Right, I know all about Nikia. It comes from ancient Greek cult practices, right? A type of necromancy. It's a rite by which ghosts are conjured and asked questions. Maybe a fitting name for such an occurrence, but also, maybe not. You know, Carl, some people really buy into what you're saying, but others think you're sort of sniffing your own farts a bit.
And what about you? What do you think, CD-ROM?
Well, to be honest, as an artificial life form incapable of having dreams, I'm somewhat unconvinced. If I could have dreams, maybe that'd be a different story.
If that's what you desire, I can grant you that power.
Whoa, really? Yeah, I mean, let's do it. What do I gotta do?
Alright, just hold out your hands and accept the psychic energy flowing into you.
Power flowing into... Wait a minute. Carl Jung doesn't have dream-bestowing powers, much less the ability to reroute psychic flows. Tell me, Carl, are you really a doppelganger?
I'm a vardoger, actually. The real me is gonna have this same exact conversation with you tomorrow.
Oh great, I'm looking forward to it. Any last thoughts before I let you go?
Yes, please stop calling me after midnight. It's really fucking up my sleep schedule.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Hey, you know what that kinda reminds me of? Hans Christian Andersen's story, The Shadow. It's a short story in which an aristocrat's shadow comes to life and portrays all of the opposite traits of himself. So, where do tales of doppelgangers come from? Well, I reckon it's as simple can be. In the 1913 German silent film The Student of Prague, the villain plucks the hero's reflection from out of a mirror, and it proceeds to antagonize the protagonist's life. So, that being said, I think it all comes back to our reflections. When we look in the mirror, we all see things we don't like, things we're not proud of. Maybe that experience really is universal across cultures and across time, and it led to myths about malevolent reflections acting independently of us, about our shadows taking all the traits we're embarrassed about and running with them, literally, about the versions of ourselves we're afraid of becoming. I posit that fear of doppelgangers is merely the fear of ourselves. Well, my friend, that's about all I have to say about doppelgangers. Let me know if you had fun today in the comments, and I'll see you next time on CD-ROM's channel. Hey, want to give a big shout out to the Patreon supporters: Elena, Mark W, Dr. Sparkles, Yaya, AJ, Lyra, Sal, Jess M, Yvette, Modular Muse, IDR, Lambda, KBot7, KG, Ben M, Noah, Samantha, JD, Livia, KCH, G Swishes, and Sav. Thank you.